Tonight, and we're talking about conspiracies. We're going to talk about LA, the helicopters, raids, taking people out of buildings, who, what, when, where, how. Is it a conspiracy? Was it a training exercise? Was it a bomb? Was it an arrest? What was going on? So anyways, I've got two people on my panel tonight, and we do have a peanut gallery that we can hear. So we've got not your little brother Nick, and then we have a new guest tonight. We have D.A. Archer. He's awesome. He's well versed in research and all this kind of fun stuff, so his opinion is really interesting to listen to. And so hey y'all.
Hey.
And we have Turtle with us tonight. I stole it from my dog.
Is that one of those squeaky toys?
No, it was just a toy that they found somewhere. I don't know where it came from.
That's funny. All right. So, let me see. Is everybody in chat?
We've got, see, what do we have here? I need to get back in the chat because you all were taking so long.
Yeah, we were waiting for people in chat.
Yeah, we got 3 people in chat tonight. Big group. Hey, Bob. Hey, Darlene. Hey, Skunky Skunk. Abigail. Where did Mega Jason go? Mega Jason, he's like, hey, you guys are taking too long. My time's important. Time's money. I ain't waiting for you no more. I'm going to go get my conspiracy theory somewhere else.
That's
like,
right.
you know, like,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So here's an... We're supposed to be serious tonight.
We are. I don't see how you could be any more serious. I mean, that's crazy talk.
We have to talk in monotone voices tonight because it's very serious.
I would like to tell you that everything is a conspiracy.
See,
we perfect. Are smooth, bro.
Oh, that's not what I wanted to show you guys. Where did it go? What? This is so unorganized. I'm going to throw something right now.
Who did that? Who's unorganized?
You guys are. I was ready. I was going to start an hour ago. Well, we don't want to listen to him talk. This guy.
Is that Capelli? That's the attorney, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. He's actually pretty good.
Attorney whenever he's younger.
He's actually pretty good. I like him. But I'm gonna pull something up for you guys. Did it go away? Nope, that's not it. Where'd it go? Oh my gosh. Am I still sharing, you guys? Stop. We need to stop. I don't want you guys to see my private stuff.
No.
My turtle porn collection.
It's not as bad as Bob's private stuff.
No grinder accounts here. Nope. I swear I had this like whole like idea of a nice presentation for you all, but it just
Bob's private collection of Alex Jones wearing negligee.
Yeah.
I'm kind of scared about that.
No, don't lie. We saw the pictures of you were included in that.
That's funny.
Ah, damn it. Yeah. Okay.
We good?
Okay. We're good. I got some stuff for y'all.
You got it.
I got it. I got it. Y'all ready for this?
Y'all ready for
this? Muhammad's in here and Jethro Troll. We got a troll in the house. I'm excited. I'm feeling important. We got a troll.
Jethro Troll. That's
Jethro
great.
Troll.
We love trolls.
Trolls. Thanks for trolling us, man.
Whoa. He's on the couch. Well, why don't you go look? He's on the couch.
Can you guys see that?
I haven't made it back yet. I had to refresh the page. Okay.
All right. So here is, there's going to be no sound because I haven't figured that out. Oh, and there's a commercial in there. All right, we don't want this. Where are we going? So oh, bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So they're saying this is a 10 Apache Army helicopters, and they're saying that this is a training exercise.
Well, it was at night, so I don't think it was a training exercise.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the rotor of what they were flying, and that's like 60 feet wide, and they had a couple of feet of clearance on either side. I mean, I don't think you're just going to fly into one of the nastiest areas possible for training exercise.
Well, I worked on office. My office was off of Wilshire Boulevard, and
yeah,
it's one of the most busiest streets in LA.
Yeah.
And from what I'm understanding and being told is that they would never put citizens at risk for a extraction or for a training exercise. So there's plenty of video out there. If you Google it, they had like it looked like a small body to me. What did it, I mean, oh, that guy looks upset. But anyways, but yeah.
Anywho.
They were Blackhawks. Are you talking about what kind of aircraft it was?
Mm-hmm.
They were full-blown Blackhawks. I mean, so it wasn't like it was a little tiny thing. So, yeah. And the footage I've seen, I think I sent you the civilian that shot it out of the skyscraper. They had like 3 or 4 of them on screen. Yeah, they definitely. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. I've been around enough military exercises. You know, that's not an exercise. I mean, like you say, Wilshire Boulevard. That's a pretty busy place.
Yeah, it's Wilshire Boulevard. And then the person that owns the building, he's got ties to Hollywood. Yeah. His business includes distribution of medical equipment that is used in surgical removal of organs, cutting devices, surgical instrumentation. And he's also has cold storage units. He has cold storage moving. And he also has ties to children's foundations, mostly in third world countries.
So what is the whole conspiracy behind this thing here? What are people saying? What is your thought on it?
It's definitely a conspiracy, but what happened? Because I mean, there's reports saying that there was a bomb. There was reports saying that it was a biohazard incident.
Yeah, and then I was watching Tiny's channel the other day, and she had a lady on from Florida that I haven't ran across any of this, but she's saying that it was like a number 1 or number 2 sort. They were capturing what a biohazard threat is what she said, and I haven't seen any of that come along the lines. But what I do know from the work I've done is I just don't think that if there was a biohazard threat there, that they would run in there in 3 minutes and be gone. You know?
Oh, so, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I just don't see that. And from everything that I've been looking at is I guess you can call it conspiracy theory or what, but they were saying that supposedly it was a satanic cult killing of kids for some sort of award ceremony that was being given in California, and that they arrived too late. So I don't know. It's all speculative, but all I do know is something's not right, because they don't come on afterwards and tell you that they're in a training exercise. I mean, if you're going to be running that kind of equipment into a downtown location, you're going to announce that before, or at least have the streets roped off, you would think. You know what I mean?
And two, it was by one of the biggest hospitals in LA too, Cedars-Sinai.
Mm-hmm.
You don't put those types of people at risk.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I've read some stuff. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, Gallardo or something like that. The old boy.
Thomas Gerardo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have read that he's an attorney. I've read all kinds of different things, but they've also claimed that he's had previous ties to child trafficking. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. So all I do know is that I don't believe it was some sort of biohazard incident, because that doesn't happen in 3 minutes. So be curious to find out what it is, but I don't think we ever will. It's kind of like 9/11. Is it a conspiracy theory? I don't know.
Somebody's taking your job, Nick.
I know. I feel like that's not right.
But yeah, it's pretty. Well, and there was another Black Hawk incident not too long ago in Chicago.
In Chicago. Mm-hmm. I don't think I heard of that one.
Yeah, there was a let's see here.
Chicago's a pretty crazy animal in itself, though.
Well, some people were saying it's part of the DOJ.
I don't know.
This year? This year?
Yeah, it was late last year.
Oh, late last year.
There was, according to the Patch, you guys know who the Patch is?
No.
My thing is originally I was from back east, and obviously they call it Philadelphia, and it is amazing to me that out of one of the places that has the highest crime rates in America and some of the toughest gun laws, a lot of the stuff these guys are coming up with, that they say that that people are buying through back channels at gun sale places. No, these guys are coming up with full-blown military grade weapons, and it's literally you can check it out. I mean, there's guys that saying we're finding crates of it in the backs of alleys. I mean, who accidentally drops that stuff? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like I said, I would hate to think that our government was involved in something like that, but I think you go back to the whole Contra thing with Ollie North, and it's a fact. We were charging guns for drugs, and who knows what they're doing now?
Who knows?
Yeah, it's So in Chicago, all I'm getting is it was a drill. No need to worry. That's all the big news agencies are saying. There are no details, it's just 2 sentences. And then two, like the links that I'm going to, it's blank. And this is like the second one, and my computer's not slow. It's just everything else is coming up except for the helicopter article. It's very strange.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that I had has been removed and not able to find. So it's pretty apparent that obviously companies like Facebook and YouTube and things like that scrub things. I mean, it's obvious that happens, but whenever you start scrubbing things like that, it really makes you want to question why. I mean, if they want to claim that all the conspiracy theorists are friggin' nut jobs, then why add fuel to the fire? Why not just leave the videos up? You know what I mean? I mean, if it's not a conspiracy, then why not just let them have access to it? So,
according to Mysterious Universe, let's see if that article comes up. This is not a big news agency. Brent Tigney from Mysterious Universe. Unmarked black helicopters hold a special place in UFO and conspiracy lore. Since the 1960s, mysterious helicopters lacking any identifying marks or colors have been reported near the sites of UFO sightings. Okay, of course,
I have definitely seen something like that firsthand. But I mean, I grew up in the desert, and I also come from a flying background, and I have seen aircraft flying completely blacked out at night, going underneath extremely high tension wires that you wouldn't think that just as an exercise they would take that risk of. I mean, especially on civilian ground. You know what I mean? So I mean, whenever the first one that I seen, there was 5 of them that crossed across the road in front of me. Yeah, as I was driving down the road, and so, but I couldn't tell you what they were. And I'm pretty experienced with a lot of helicopters, and I still to this day have no idea what they were. I just know they were a helicopter because it was only, sound and everything else. But it's pretty amazing. So, I mean, obviously we got a lot of black ops stuff out there, but my one hope out of this, if it is true that they're talking about it's a satanic cult and that it's, I don't know if you've heard about the whole Circle 9 of Catholic Church. I would hope that if Trump is truly draining the swamp, that's what you're going after. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because, in my opinion, the children are our most valuable resource in America, not our least, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and two, this whole, there's now has been a documented case of infanticide in New York. They had a child was executed as somebody was telling me that the child was born. They wrapped the child and they kept the child warm and comfortable, and then just discuss with the parents whether they should keep the child or not, and then they executed the child.
Really?
Mm-hmm. All right,
that's jacked up. And that gives abortion a whole new meaning, that's for sure, huh? I mean, whew. Huh.
The left has gone so far and they're becoming so blatant. I'm not understanding how anybody, they claim abortion is a woman's right, but how can it be a woman's right when the child is no longer in the woman?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's reaching way past where it should be. Absolutely.
Well, 10 years ago, whenever they were talking about partial birth abortion, I don't know if anybody looked that up, but basically that was a child carried to term. And what they would do is they would extract the child to the point of the head coming out. They'd bring them out by feet first is what they do. And then they stick a freaking probe in the back of the head and scramble the brain. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if a heartbeat is where it begins, I can understand if you want to abort one before that point. But if life is at heartbeat, then why isn't it not murder after the heartbeat? You know what I mean? So that's where I have a big problem with it.
Well, yeah, I mean the partial birth abortions is usually a second term abortion, and yeah, they basically induce the labor of the woman, which is dangerous for her, by the way, and they deliver the child except for the head, and and you're right, they cut the spinal cord in the back of the head, and they basically suck the brains out and try to basically collapse the skull and then deliver the rest of the child. Now, there's laws that we talked about the other day, that was their bill was passed saying that a bad abortion, which all abortions are bad, but if a child survives a botched abortion, is it illegal? Do you give it health care or not? And they are passing that you don't. You just let it. You provide no life-saving measures to that child. And it just there are survivors of bad abortions or abortions that have gone wrong. They are the most amazing people. They provide. They are and complete and an amazing asset to our society. And but the value of human life is being discounted daily. I mean, look at the video games that people play. I mean, look at what's going on in all these chats and stuff. You have these trolls trying to get people to commit suicide or have mental breakdowns for their enjoyment. I mean, our society's come into our society is now just devaluing life, and they're valuing suffering on other people. And what a sad world we live in, and what a sad position for somebody to actually think that all of these things are okay.
Yeah, I'm reading here in chat what Joey said about whenever the egg and sperm combine, it says and then after that they say they harvest organs, and I think that in itself is part of the problem. I think they do that, and now whether it is utilized in this country or others, or that is something that sooner or later is going to have to be addressed, because I mean, Planned Parenthood is. I mean, it's not what people really think it is. I mean, it's not just there to help people. I mean, whenever some of these cases where you get these 17-year-old girls or 16-year-old girls going in for an abortion, and they literally will not even notify the kid's parents.
No,
and it's wrong.
They're accommodating to the sex traffickers. They're accommodating to, child rapists and pedophilia. It's incredible how, and our taxpayer dollars are funding them. We are giving them money, and then they're turning around giving campaign funds to the, government or whoever's running that will support them.
Yeah, well, I think it was like the Clinton Foundation after she lost to President Trump. I think the next year was the lowest year in their history that they had ever on funds that they were averaging like $280 million a year, and it went down next to nothing, like $3 or $4 million. So I'm quite certain that I don't think President Clinton, and definitely hopefully never Hillary Clinton as another President Clinton, has a lot to do with a lot of things. I mean, you look at Haiti, what happened with all those kids disappearing in Haiti, and President Clinton was armpit deep in all that. Not as
The peanut calories drinking tonight.
You quit. Thank you for finding that for me, but you know better. No.
So, like, what we can, yeah, there's definitely, you know, well, and the thing about it too is, like, with the whole abortion thing, and then there is to me it's still satanic. It is still a satanic ritual. I think the powers behind it are very satanic. You know, from all the way from, you know, the biblical times, when they would sacrifice their children, and it usually was out of wedlock. The children that they sacrificed were out of wedlock because perversion was so rampant, like it is now. So, you know, and polygamy and all these other things were just, you know, running so rampant. And so now it's the same thing. And we just had that Archibald go around through all these places. And, you know, unfortunately, Jovi, you're in New York, it was there the most. And, you know, to me, it's still a sacrifice. I think the powers that be who are putting these all in place, it's a sacrifice still. To them, they look at it as a sacrifice. And, you know, but people are starting to wake up, and they're starting to realize there is no way that an abortion is indicative of women's health care. As a nurse, I can 100% guarantee that women's health care does not include abortions. The risk that it puts on a woman is far greater than actually giving a child to full term. And this is the sad part. Why are we funding abortions and not adoptions? There's plenty of parents out there who cannot have, and it's become so difficult for them to have children, and it's so difficult for them to go through the adoption process. Even if you have to adopt out of the country, they still make it so completely just it's horrible. It's completely, totally horrible.
You know what's funny about that whole thing? You would think with abortions and, you know, some of these women that already have 10 kids and have had already 13 abortions and are on welfare, there are plenty of people that can't have kids that would have no problem spending money to get their own child. You know, I mean, I'm surprised that hasn't caught on more than anything else. It's like, oh, I can have babies and make money. All right, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, you would think that would in itself be a factor in that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's parents that pay so much money to adopt children, and it's crazy. It's crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Krissy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I've known women who've actually carried, but it shouldn't be expensive. Adoption should not be expensive. It's already expensive enough to raise a child alone. You shouldn't add another $30,000 on top of it.
You ever try to adopt an animal from a shelter? It's the same way.
Like, yeah, that's only $100 at a shelter.
No, not around here.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, like to adopt a dog around here, you would think that you were adopting a child. Like, they come and do a home check. It costs you like $500 for like a 7 mixed breed dog. You know what I mean? Like, it's just ridiculous. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, that's insane. I mean, maybe out there, and even in the city of Detroit, for the Humane Society, like, it's insane. Like, I'm like, I'd rather pay the money and get a purebred. Screw that.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Yeah, it is stupid how it all winds up. I have a niece, and she was telling me about a friend of theirs that was they were a lesbian couple that was having a kid, and they had basically a buyer or an adoption lined up out of China. So I was kind of curious. I was like, okay, well, why are these people paying all this medical bills, blah, 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 and out of any place? Why would a couple from China be adopting anybody? because they do away with so many kids over there. Well, that has been a new way to come into the country. Is you come over here, you find a surrogate mother, she's going to have a kid. Well, that kid's born in the United States. They adopt a kid. They are automatically granted access to the United States. So you think about it, sure as beat paying to try and cross the border illegally or waiting 5 or 10 years to get in the country. I mean, they paid 70 grand in 9 months. They're going to be American citizens because they just now adopted this kid who's born in the United States. So they get to come here. And I thought that was just crazy, but it's fact. It's fact. And it's nuts.
Yeah.
So it's all business to me. It's all big business.
What does it take for somebody to get to that point in their life where they don't value a child? I mean, we're all parents. I couldn't even, I remember going to see Titanic right after my son was born. All these people were dying, and most of the time I would have probably been crying. But once I saw the baby frozen on the movie theater, I was bawling. I was done. That was it for me. But, and some of these people are parents. Like, do they value their own children? I mean, what is in them that would think that this is okay? What justifies this? That to me is the biggest mystery in all of this. Like, who does that?
Hey, DA.
Yeah.
Check the chat out for me real quick when you get a chance.
Okay. I mean, I was wondering if my boy was starting to be too loud because he's rolling through his ABCs on the fridge.
I'm muting your mic every time, or just lowering the volume.
Good, thanks.
So yeah,
I hit it to mute a couple of times, but he's in one of those moods. He woke up and he's pretty spry.
Yeah, it's I think it's just the time and where we're at in history and the time of the universe where, God did tell us this was going to be like this. It was going to be the days of Noah. The fornication, the moral displays that have digressed into this cesspool is crazy. It's sad.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what the answer is, I don't know. I really don't know. But at some point, we got to say enough is enough and wrong is wrong. And unfortunately, it's, big businesses, big money in this country, they just don't care about anything. As long as they're generating that money, they just take, and they don't care about the kids. And I just don't get it. It's almost become like another commodity,
Yeah.
So, and it's like, I was looking at some statistics, speaking of, with this whole thing about, them talking about the Democrats talking about paying blacks again and that's not the first time that's come up about paying for reparations for them. And I think they just use that as a, kind of a screen. And at what point do we finally say that it doesn't matter, that Planned Parenthood is supposedly helping so many people, blah, 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 but they won't open their books to anybody. And I got you some soup right here. Hang on, give me a second, bud.
Ooh, what kind of soup?
Beef soup. He likes steak.
Nice.
Yeah. No, the kitty doesn't need any soup. He's hungry. No bacon.
Yeah, but I think this whole, and I think it connects back to Agenda 22 or 2020, 2030, whatever you want to call it, or whatever agenda they're naming it now. They they want to rid us. They want to get rid of us. They want to depopulate the world because we're absorbing so many of the resources now. You know, they're not worried about global warming. There is no global warming. It's climate change. What they're worried about is the resources. The world is becoming overpopulated. The pollution is out of control. You know, and it's not America that's doing it. It's China and India. If you go to India, you will actually literally get sick from the smog that is in the air. And I'm not talking like LA smog in the 80s. I'm talking like London fog smog. It darkens the streets. It's you literally, when you go into, bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
You're dirty when you have to take a shower. There's like a grit on your body after being outside, and it's not dirty grit. It's this tarry, nasty grit on your body that's just gross.
Well, you know, everything has to be always done in a knee-jerk reaction, right? It's kind of like with China and, you know, their one-child birth policy, this and that. I think if the nations were just smart enough and honest enough to tell their people, hey, look, you know, we need to maybe slow down and maybe need to focus on this instead of this wait until a problem happens and pull a knee-jerk reaction and make some sort of stupid frickin' laws to try and combat the action that they're trying to avoid. I mean, I think on a whole, people would be a little bit more smart, but at the same time, they do that whole corporate, you know, America wants to sell you this, wants to sell you that, and they want to keep you buying all this stuff. And here, hang on a second. And they refuse to do that. It's like, you know, we are peasants and we are not intelligent enough to understand what they're going to say, but they don't say it. You know what I mean? It's always just a knee-jerk reaction. And so what, you know, one of these days it's going to have to come to that. You know what I mean? I think the other night, I think it was somebody either on your channel or possibly Bob that was talking about Logan's Run. And I don't know if anybody's seen that movie. It's available on Netflix, but you know, that was done back in the late 70s, and it had to do a lot with population control, you know, because once people turned 30, that they kind of went in and, you know, got executed kind of deal. And so it's obviously been known that it's coming issue for a long time. So, but either they need to talk to the people or they need to try and quit encouraging everybody to make, or, you know, to use up so much resources. So, but whenever it comes down to it, it's money, and that's all they want, you know, and there you go. He's a happy camper now. That's all I do is cook, man. I tell you what, I'm the youngest of 13, and I have no idea how my dad did it. I have no idea. Because I just got a couple of them, man, and those guys eat me out of the house and home.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, the problem is obviously there's a lot of people that recognizes that we have up and coming problems, and yet all of a sudden we're back to fighting about race again. That, in my eyes, was pretty much a done issue until President Obama got in the office, and then he just stirred the pot again, and here we back, and then we're having all these race relationship issues, and it's just like, wow, really? You know, it's just, I don't know what the absolute end all say all is of it, but I think they got to give people a little bit more credibility. I mean, I think people that are not in Congress have a little bit of more of a brain if they just had the information at hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't think the people in Congress care. I don't, because I mean, there's enough information, like what the bill that they just passed, there's enough information to understand what is life and what is death. And they totally went off the diving board into this abyss of evilness. Anybody who knows what they did and what they voted for, and is still going to vote for them. At this point, it's no longer a fight or a debate between politics or parties. It's now a debate between evil and good, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I mean, and years ago, they always talked about, like, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but, whenever one telephone company was merging with another one, that they were getting to be too big for their britches. And now you have AT&T buying out Time Warner. You have Monsanto merging with Bayer Pharmaceutical, and nobody says a thing. And where you went from a couple hundred affiliates that were on the cable news, now you're down to a handful. And if people don't understand what state-run media is like, it's getting to that point. And I mean, it's pretty positive with Trump's numbers. I mean, the primary media has been nothing but 98% piss poor coverage of President Trump since he took office. And I think by 2020, it could become a real problem, because a lot of those city reps, they do not do their homework. They don't care. They turn on the TV, and what they tell them to do, they do. And it's sad.
Yeah, it really is sad. But from what I understand, there's been a lot of defunding. There's been a lot of layoffs in the major mainstream media, though.
Yeah, so, well, I could see that happening, and unfortunately, the only people that get, it's like at my job, unfortunately, what I used to do is the people who made the less headwaves are the people that kept around. And that's the way they do it in any company. The guy who's on the news that's going to say, yes, sir, I'll say whatever you want, is the guy they're going to keep around. They ain't going to keep around the guy that is questioning what they're sending out over the airwaves. So,
right.
Yeah.
Are you okay, Nick?
Me?
Oh, yeah.
I'm here.
I thought you fell asleep.
He's sleeping like Nacho.
No. Or Jovi.
Is Jovi still in here?
Did Jovi fall asleep on the air too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're getting exciting here.
Twice. He's done it twice.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was talking in his sleep. But yeah, it just, I hate, and the thing about it is, it's like, for me, I hate talking about this subject because I get really angry. I get really sad, and I want to fight. I want to stand up. What do we do? How do we do this? But at the same point, I don't want to talk about it because it's overwhelming, but it needs to be talked about, and we need to do something. We need to, rally up and stand up.
Here's the thing. This is the thing that you've noticed, right? And everybody has noticed this. I don't care if you're on the left or the right? You can see how things progress. And this is with anything, okay? When abortion first came around, the whole point was, we don't want back alley abortions. We don't want coat hanger abortions. We want to give women a safe space to be able to do these things since they're already happening, and it's about women's health, right? Mm-hmm. So that was the whole thing behind it to begin with. Mm-hmm. Now fast forward to where we are today and the progression of it. And if you look at almost any sort of an agenda that's pushed, that's exactly how it's gone. Back when the gay thing was a huge deal, and we're gay, we just want the same rights, blah 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 blah. And now we're at a point where George can call himself Susie because he tucks his tallywhacker behind him, and everybody has to accept that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So at some point, like, you got to sit there and look at it and go, well, look back and go, well, I can accept what that used to be, but not what it is now by any way, shape, or form. It's just kind of crazy how it's progressed into this monster of an issue. And it's still, to this day, it's a women's health thing. Oh yeah, the whole premise behind it was a women's health thing. I can see where they were saying that, with giving and healthy outlet for this to happen, right? So this is about people and not dying because they're going to do it anyway, sort of situation. So okay, along that premise, I can get it. But now what they're saying and what they're doing is not a women's health thing. Just like you said, it's not about the health of the woman anymore at this point.
No. No,
it's just control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it is. It's control. It's depopulate the earth.
Well, it's also about pushing your agenda, and it's about, I mean, it's just anything. Look at just how the Democratic Party has become so extreme in itself too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you look at the graphs, you can see that Republican Party has pretty much stayed center as far as most views in the last 20 years, 30 years. And then you look at the Democratic Party, and you can see the shift that keeps going a little bit more and more to the left, a little bit more and more extreme, a little bit more and more what they would consider progressive. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they just keep moving the goalpost, and it's funny because now some of those people are outcasts and they're moving over to the Republican Party because if anything, we've moved more towards the center of things than to the far right. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Well, in my opinion, I'm starting to see that because the left has gone so far to the left that people on the right now are actually pulling a little bit more to the right and saying, you know what, we've let things go for so long. We need to pull back now.
I get that. I guess for me, because I'm not, you know how active I am in politics, Chrissy, but I consider myself a center right, individual. I'm not or Bob Jones will call me, you're a libertarian. You're one of them there libertarians, which I'm not. But I consider my center right because of certain issues. So and I can disagree and agree with, and listen to all the point of views. But even still, I am still going to identify with the Republican Party far faster than I would identify with anybody in the center or the left. You know what I mean? So it's just, it is crazy. It's a crazy, crazy world that we live in politically.
Well, it cracks me up. I mean, it's amazing to see all these idiots, these anti idiots, and stuff like that out there saying, no fascist, no KKK crap, blah, blah, blah. And everything they're doing, I mean, they're out there waving a sickle and hammer flag and communist flag and socialism, and they don't even know what that means. And that's what they're supporting. And they're calling the other side that. I mean, it's mind-boggling to show how stupid they are. I mean, it's like socialism. Yeah, we do have a little bit of socialism in this country, but they're calling for full-blown socialism, all while saying the other side is the socialist. It's just mind-blowing. They're stupid, uneducated idiots.
Well, I was watching on something today about AOC, and it was more, she answered a casting call. They weren't looking for, she answered a casting call. AOC is not a person who is running. It is a corporation that is running. And she is the spokesperson that they picked for their corporation.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. There's a documentary about it, and they're very open about it. This is not a hidden secret. This is, they wanted somebody to support who had the progressive ideas. I didn't get to finish it like I want to, but I will definitely, I think we should do something about it, because that definitely people need to be educated on, because it's ridiculous.
Well, that's part of the biggest problem in itself, is they deem corporations as individuals, and that's the way they got away from corporations giving too much money to a political candidate. So, I mean, now you can just see the evolution of that. I mean, if that's the case, that's what they're doing. They're just saying, this is the individual and I'm representing it. I mean, it's stupid. I mean, it's absolutely dumb.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's reasons behind that with the Federal Reserve, and that's why.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. GTO Mama says, who's next? Children under 5, the elderly, and the handicapped. Yeah. They are next. They are next. They're already doing it in Europe. They euthanized a 5-year-old little girl.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, we have a euthanasia law here. You can request. I mean, it's very difficult.
You mean in California?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, do you guys remember Kevorkian? You know, he was from my hometown, Royal Oak, where I grew up. And that dude went to jail for doing assisted suicides, which is basically that's what he was doing, euthanizing. But I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that California has it, but
yeah. It is very difficult to do, though, and the parameters are very difficult. You have to have 3 doctors. You have a waiting period, and even at the waiting period, you still have to be coherent enough to understand everything.
Right.
At least nobody. They're not forcing the doctors. Right. Excuse me, or the nurses to perform it. It's just basically, take this pill first, take this pill, and then.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's the way it
goes. That's essentially, well, it wasn't that easy back then, but we're talking. This was in the 90s where he was shooting people up, but at the same time, these were people that were. I guess I see that sort of thing. Not 5-year-olds, of course, that's sickening, but unless they're in pain or whatever, I get that. But most of these people that want to do this sort of thing are like already on deathbed, or they just want to be over with it type situations. And I can see where you got to see 3 doctors, you got to do this, you got to do that. But what's the difference between that and signing a DDR? Do not or DNR, so what's the difference between those two things? Like, if I go out, don't rest, bring me back, or I'm already going out, I would like to go now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's a touchy subject, and working in hospital, that came up in hospice, that actually came up quite a bit. And that one's a hard one for me because I can't handle people suffering.
Right.
But I'm also very strong in my faith, and
it's a struggle. I can see that. But I could see that 100%.
But when somebody's on their deathbed, even though that they haven't talked in weeks or even months, I've seen miracles happen because just for the sheer fact that they're on their deathbed, and it brings people close. It brings forgiveness. It brings closure. People realize that life is short. And I've seen amazing things happen because somebody's dying, and not everything bad is bad. We think of death as bad. I don't think death is bad. I think death is beautiful. I think it's, especially, unless, you don't have a heart for Christ, but when somebody has a heart for Christ, I think death is very beautiful. I felt very honored to be there with somebody, and when they crossed over, and somebody on their deathbed, forgiveness happens. It puts things in perspective why we're here. And so that was the thing that made me feel okay. I don't think that bailing 6 months earlier than it's 6 months in the scheme of things. It's nothing compared to eternity. So I'm all for staying as long as you can, but I'm also for do not resuscitate too. If somebody does not resuscitate, we're putting the power of, we're playing God when we're trying to resuscitate somebody sometimes. And if they're on their deathbed and they're dying, just let them go. There's no reason to break somebody's ribs and have them suffer for a couple more days. God, that was an act of God, not an act of a person.
Well, one of my thoughts on it is, if hospitals, and I don't know how you take this or not, but how they say there's no money in the prevention or in the cure. It's all in the prevention. Right. And unfortunately, you see a lot of people that aren't even treated correctly, that should be treated correctly, and it's all money based. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And at some point, you got to get that dollar out of it. You know what I mean? And if, like what you're saying, if somebody would, my opinion is if somebody wants to exit, that's fine. But if you're talking about taking a 5-year-old kid, and I don't know what the exact circumstances was behind it, I would have a really hard time crossing that line. I mean, there's a big difference between a 5-year-old kid exiting at the scope of a doctor as opposed to an 80-year-old lady who's terminally ill with something that she's going to, you know what I mean?
I should have clarified a little bit better on that one. But yeah, we do have the technology and the capabilities of saving life. And I do believe that, you know, if you're in a car accident and, you know, life-saving measures are needed, then go for it. You know, that's what I'm talking about. When there's vitality of life still there, you know, somebody who's 80 years old is on their deathbed and has lived a full life, then no, I'm totally agree with DNR, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as a child, oh heck yeah, I would do, you know, we'd be on a team and we'd work for hours and, you know, would not give up.
You know, I mean, there's just so many things that are, you know, against the morals of what, you know, and I talked to you about this. I mean, it's pretty much in today, there's pretty much two segments of society that you can very outcome and ridicule and you're fine. As long as you're giving the white people shit and giving Christians shit, you're okay.
Yeah.
But as soon as you talk about Muslims or this or that, you're, you know, I mean, you're a racist, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't know if you heard about this here lately, but there was a case, you know, because under that Sharia law, you know, the mutilation that they do to women, there was a case somewhere back east, and I haven't nailed it down exactly where, but it was upheld by the courts that her parents had her mutilated under religious freedom. And I'm thinking, wait a second, where was the child's religious choice? You know what I mean? Yeah, granted, she, you know, who knows, maybe she might have been brainwashed to the point where say, yeah, this is what I need to do. But I have a hard time with that, saying that that's covered under, I mean, it would be like me saying my religious choices, I can do whatever I want to my son over there because it's my religious choice, you know, whether you want to kill him or whatever you want to do to him. I mean, if you go to mutilation, what's the next step?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, so, you know, at some point, people got to understand that Islamic religion does not coincide with anybody on this planet. I mean, because pretty much if you're not one of them, you're the enemy. And so, I mean, and then it all goes down to breaking down to the morals of the society. I mean, look at the U.S. I mean, my gosh, look at what we've become. It's nuts. Like I said, you can openly be racist against white people, and you can openly be racist against Christianity, but you can't be openly racist against anybody else, whether some chick wants to identify as being a cat or whatever.
Meow. Meow.
Yeah, I think I want to be a turtle.
You pervert.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Nick identifies as tonight. He's identified as a turtle, as a
I identify as a Apache helicopter.
yeah.
Always have.
Oh, I thought it changed.
What?
Well, you better go to California. I'm sure they'll help you with that.
Yeah.
There's plenty here. Maybe find your soulmate. I was trying to think of something funny, but no. Rotor
mate.
Rotor mate.
I think, you know, it's comical because, you know, I think Ben Shapiro said it best. I mean, he said, now we are forced as a society to give in to the delusions of that person's craziness.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's like you have the 1% that's nuts, and now we are forced as a society to say, oh, that's okay. Like, whoa, wait a second, man. It is not okay. You know, and then you got you got places like Canada. If you say something about their pronouns wrong, that's a 2-year sentence in prison for just calling somebody out of their pronouns. It's like, are you serious? I mean, where is this insanity leading? You know what I mean? It's absolutely nuts.
Off the cliff?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It's I couldn't. Oh, I'd be in jail.
That's why I don't know how you even still live in California.
I know. I think
That's
Bob
insanity.
Bob can blackmail me at any time because he saw me with a straw the other day.
Oh no.
On his channel.
once they outban it 100%, I'll just ship you some. All right.
Deal. My dealer.
Like it'll get like California will have its own customs, and they'll have to like go checking for all the plastic crap that's coming in the mail.
I did smuggle ferrets into California once. That was kind of fun.
Ferrets? You can't have ferrets there?
No ferrets.
Really?
Really?
Why not?
Because it kills chickens. Is there?
Oh my God!
But they got rid of all the chicken farms, the egg ranches.
Well, it's not like a chicken was an indigenous species of America. I mean, in California, I don't know. It's like, wow, really? That's nuts.
I had one once, and I was playing with it outside, and the neighbor behind me was going, oh, a weasel. And I go, where?
Where's the weasel?
So I was chasing him around the backyard. I picked it up. I was like, oh, look, it's so cute. I was like kissing it. Oh, look at it. She about passed out. She's like, oh my God. That lady's crazy. I'm like, no, it's just my ferret, Sammy.
It's just Sammy, yo.
Just Sammy. Yeah. So, but yeah, I can't have ferrets here. Can't have skunks. Yeah, there's a whole lot you can't have. You just basic cats, dogs, birds, and
cats, dogs, and birds.
Yeah, that's all. And horses and pigs.
Nay, and turtles.
No, you can't even have turtles.
that one where you got the turtle up on that Croc shoe yesterday, that was just a riot, man. Poor Jovi, I think he was missing that, so
we need to send Jovi a Croc and a turtle one day.
There you go.
That would be funny. Hi, Melvin. Yes, the dragon ship went up last night. Did you all see that?
The what?
The dragon ship.
Who's dragging a ship?
You talking about SpaceX launch?
Mm-hmm. There was a successful launch.
Oh, just another 5G launch, right? Is what they're putting up? Or?
I think it was. What was it, Melvin? He'll tell us.
I think they were contracted for like 350,000 of those this year alone or something. It's nuts.
Oh, 3 on board, he said. 3 people or satellites? Let's see.
Ferrets.
Oh, ferrets? There was 3 ferrets on board.
taking turtles into space.
They were extradited from California.
That's what the helicopters were for. We solved it, you guys. That's what the helicopters for. They extracted weasels and they sent them on the dragon last night. Makes sense.
3 people, huh?
No? Yes, people.
What was SpaceX doing with people? I thought they were cargo only.
Interesting. It was Hillary and Obama.
Bye.
With George Soros. Oh, launch codes for coming back. Oh, we lost those.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
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 Hey, since we've been on an hour, so let's wrap this up. Okay. Thanks, you guys, for coming on tonight, and thank you guys in the chat, Melvin, Johnny, some trolls, GTO Mama, Jovi, Father. Hello, Father. I didn't give you a shout out.
Father was here?
Yeah, Father was here. Everybody, Mohammed, Hala Habibi, and there's a Bob. Damn it. And Abigail. Thank you all for showing up tonight. I love you all. Thanks for being on my panel, you guys. And have a good night.